Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm VZ Mark II.
And I'm the Geeky Panda.
K-Gods has not been joining us. K-Gods will not be joining us. So we have the Panda joining us for this episode. What's going on, dogs?
I'm still tired from my 24-hour charity stream.
Yeah, you're just coming off of almost... Number one, Panda, it was not a 24-hour charity stream. It was like a 22 and change hour charity stream. Well, so don't lie to everyone.
I was going to say that I had to call it at the 22nd hour because I never went to bed beforehand. So I was literally hitting time being awake the 40-hour mark almost. And if I was younger, I could have handled it, but no. But no, it was successful. We raised more than what we raised last year. We raised $110 for the Connecticut's Children's Medical Center.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I'm really happy. Even though the site was getting DDoSed.
That's like there's like, okay, Sony did some fucked up shit and decided they're gonna make some changes that piss people off and they get hacked. There's that kind of shit. There's other shit. DDoSing the sick kids charity people. That's like chaotic evil. That's like don't give a fuck anymore. We're just gonna do evil for the sake. That's like Al Qaeda. Like yeah. That's like terrorism at that point.
Yeah, like when I got the email, they said even though some people were trying to disrupt that, I'm like, so they were getting DDoS because when you access the site, they had like a DDoS protection thing on it. I'm like, wait a minute, were they getting DDoS?
Like why? Like what is Extra Life doing except helping sick kids?
But the stream was good. This year was very successful. I think overall, we raised almost $10 million overall with everyone's efforts.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Oh.
So, but yeah, next year it's going to be bigger and better, and I'm going to introduce a couple of things, which I didn't realize. One streamer, he did 24 hours of Gundam model building. That's it. That's all.
Depending on how good he is, that might be a lot of fucking models.
Like
it's like a high grade. That's like an hour and a half at the absolute most.
I didn't look him up, but he was like, "That's the last time I'm ever doing 24 hours."
Oh, that's real talk. Listen, if that guy was building real grades,
yeah.
24 hours real grade building.
Yeah.
Number one, R.I.P. your fingers. Number two, I probably would have thrown a Zaku through the window at some point. Like at some point, a mobile suit is going through the window because understand, real grades they're, and don't get me wrong, they're fun. They look really cool when they're finished, but the process leading up to that is painful. That said, real grades are not the most frustrating model I've built. The most frustrating model I've built and still consistently build for some reason are Virtualon models. Very specifically, the fucking Fei Yen Cinderella heart.
Oh, the ones from
Hasegawa. Yeah.
Hasegawa. Yeah.
The Kotobukiya ones are a bitch too, but fuck the Hasegawa models. I love them. Don't get me. I love them. I'm going to continue buying them. But
what is it?
Fuck
Because of the
Hasegawa.
tampograph?
Because of the what?
Because of the tampograph. You have to like all those colors and things on them. It's like
that's a thing. And then number two is okay. So I spent about, I think a grand total about 4 hours putting together the Fei Yen model, and I'm gonna see if I can pull it up to give people a better idea of what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And so the Fei Yen is a very unique looking mecha because it's a little maid girl. And See if I can find the right one. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's about right. This isn't the exact one I built. The exact one I built is a bit different, but I will take the image, post it in the thing for you guys, and then post it in the IRC as well. So, do you see all those little stripes all over
Yes.
her outfit?
Yes.
Every single like set of those is a separate water slide decal.
Wow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I was.
Jesus.
So like the white stripes on her twin tails, that's a water slide decal. All the white stripes down her sleeves, down the front of her outfit, along the outside of the skirt there. Every single segment of those, not every individual stripe, obviously, but every little segment of the skirt, every side of the sleeve there, every single one is a separate water slide decal that by itself took 4 hours to put on, all those water slide decals. So it took 4 hours to put the thing together, and it's fragile as fuck, by the way. It took 4 hours to get all these water slide decals on. And you know what the worst part is?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, I would do it again.
Isn't that like? I feel like that's like the definition of insanity.
Well, I'm not expecting a different result. I know I'm gonna hate every second of it, but it looks so nice when all put together. As a matter of fact, I can actually show. I have photos of the actual finished model kit because it's 1/100 scale. So I put it together, like I put it up with my 1/100. Oh no, this is before I put all the water slide decals on it. Yeah, so that's not gonna help. But I put it with my 1/100 scale Hyzac master grade, and the Hyzac is like still twice its size.
Christ.
They're doing a real great Ava.
A real Evangelion?
Yeah.
As painful as I said real grades just were, I might have to get down on a real grade Evangelion. They've been branching out with like the model kits. Like as a matter of fact, I was up in the Panda, you know Game Exchange, right?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, they're number one, they're selling Gundam models now. And number two, not only Gundam models, but they got like Code Geass models and Eureka 7 models.
They must have been looking at GameStop to be like, oh, they're having models. Okay.
GameStop has models now.
They've had.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't know, dude.
Because they're trying to, they're throwing everything on the wall before, the
Yeah, they
well,
want
fucking.
yeah, they want to see what sticks, and they want to change their
Nothing's
stores.
gonna stick.
Gather.
What like? If they wanted to start trying shit, they should have started trying shit 5 years ago, but they didn't, and now they're spiraling.
Oh yeah, but that's apparently they were selling model kits. I was looking at them like, really? Why are you guys selling this stuff? You're not really a store that I would go to buy this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not really a store I would go to in the first place, but that's beside the point.
Like their stocks are still hovering around like $5 to $6 right now. So
which quite frankly is better than they were doing in like mid-August. I wonder what they did. Like I wonder what they did to get their stock price from
you know
$3
why
something a
it's
share
going
to $5 something a share.
up? You want to know why it's going up? It's the holiday season.
Oh yeah, so all the grandmothers are going to GameStop because it's the only place they know that sells a whole lot of video games for cheap too, and getting their grandchildren the latest PlayStation 4 game.
What's the game that all the boys are talking about?
What's this, Fortnite something? I don't know, dude. But
Well, yeah, they're not even. They wouldn't even. Yeah, they're not even buying games. They're probably buying like cards for Fortnite.
Yeah.
Or I got a better one
Oh,
for
the
you.
V-Bucks, yeah.
No, I got a better one for you. Funko Pops.
Oh, just stop right there, dude.
Well, I mean, I'm
If
not happy about it, but Game Exchange does have Funko Pops now.
Like, if I still worked at GameStop, dude, and they were going to tell us, like, we're selling these Funko Pops. So, I thought we were a game store. Like, why do we have this stuff? I don't know, dude, anymore.
I wonder how Funko's stock is doing.
Oh god, yeah, now you're making me curious.
Because I know they sort. Wow, that is a big drop.
Jesus
over the course
Christ.
of one day. Dropped by $2.
What did they announce?
What happened?
No, Anubis, look at. Jesus Christ. They went from 18 to 15.
Yeah. Over the course of a day.
What did
What
did they
What the
announce?
fuck is going on here?
Holiday season, nonetheless, too. And
Well, to be fair, if I got a Funko Pop for Christmas, I'd be mad. Like, I'd actually be angry.
Okay, I'm gonna combine two things Anubis hates for the ultimate, the penultimate Anubis anger. Funko Pop version of the Methus.
Okay, no, see, I actually would shoot that with an airsoft gun. Like, I wouldn't shoot a high grade Methus with an airsoft gun because that's actually quality. Funko, no, that thing's getting the M4. The thing's getting the M4.
Okay,
it's getting. So what has been going on other than Panda's thing?
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about shit we've been watching.
I ain't watched a goddamn thing. Go
nothing.
VZ.
Okay. Well, two things on YouTube that I've been putting on. One is I'm gonna have to drop it because it's that bad and just boring. The new Gundam Build Divers.
There's a new one.
Yeah. And it is.
So what's wrong? Is it this? Does it have the same problem that Build Fighters Try did with, in comparison to the original Build Fighters?
It's just like, see, the first Build Fighters was so good because it had the fun. It was just like having so much fun with itself, and you actually like those characters. These are just really boring. Everything about it is just
I feel like they're treating themselves like constantly, like they can't recreate the,
Well, also it's supposed to be like an isekai world. So now there's like furry people inhabiting this world.
Well, there was in the original Build Divers.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't know. It's just this one's. I don't know. It's just this one's like just really boring. The action is boring. The characters are boring. Most of the mobile suits are boring. Even though I love that they brought the Wadam from Turn A.
So instead of like having a fun experience with itself and with everyone watching, they just somehow made it open.
Yeah, it just seems really like route or just like by the numbers compared to the.
There's not even like sentiment on it. It's just plain open.
It's
like that's the same thing that happened between Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try. Build Fighters was amazing, as we all know, and then Build Fighters Try just it got a little too serious. The mobile suits were boring. The characters didn't have anywhere near the same level of personality that the originals did, and it just the combat wasn't very compelling. It just an entire thing was the whole thing was just paled in comparison to the original Build Fighters.
I gotta take a look if it's all the same director or not, because I have a feeling that's probably what the
change of directors, maybe.
Yeah, it's because that could be the only. I mean, it's the writers too. Sometimes even if you have the same director, sometimes you might have different writers.
I wish they did like a Gundam Build Fighters, but instead of like kids, a little bit older.
That would actually be interesting.
Well, it's like the original Build Fighters had plenty of adults in it. It's just the kid was the protagonist.
Yeah.
The kid's always going to be the protagonist. It's a Gundam show.
Well, this one has the character Captain Xeon.
Sig Xeon, bitches.
I mean, I'm down with all you. This is actually something that I found was pretty cool with the original Build Fighters. You remember that moment in the original Build Fighters when Mr. Ral takes the red-haired kid down into like this underground club of like Xeon fanatics who all dressed in the uniform.
I was loving that shit. I'm like, hell yeah! Like, again, like I love Build Fighters to death.
Yeah. The best thing about Build Fighters Try was Ganko.
Yeah, that's the bet. You're 100% correct, and I'm still waiting for a Ganko spinoff. That's not going to happen.
But the other thing on YouTube that I've been watching is so they released a new. It's really because they released a very expensive and already sold Chigoken version. I've been watching Die Rugger 15. It's officially on there, like Bandai Spirits page with subtitles, and they're up to 15, and I'm at episode 15, and I've actually been enjoying it. Because it's a show I always wanted to check out, especially after seeing Go Lions. So now it's like naturally the next thing. I was afraid it was gonna be boring because everyone says it's because it's not like Go Lion, and it's a little bit more it's more in that sort of political discussions and such. A little bit of that. It actually is kind of like basically Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica with a giant robot.
Right.
So, but I am enjoying it. The only fault that I have is just by the nature of those type of shows, it's like they combine Monster of the Week, and then it's like next episode. So, I guess the other fault of the show is that it's because each vehicle has their own pilot. That's 15 main characters. And let me tell you, I don't even know who all of them are. So,
Jesus
because here's the thing. I don't even know who, only for a few of the vehicles, but I don't know who pilots what. It's there isn't like a sort of, I know who, it was like, Go Lion, I know exactly who pilots what. But I mean, probably because of the colors too, but there really isn't a good, like this thing standing next to this thing, this character going into this vehicle, this character going to that specific vehicle to make you sort of associate well. And so that's kind of the other fault of the show. But otherwise I'm continuing it with it. And of course the regular shows this season I've been watching. I'm thoroughly enjoying Arisuki. I mean,
I still need to catch up on it. Still waiting for more episodes
I say catch up on it. It's kind of going bonkers. Just in that, some more girls were introduced, and the three main girls and the guy are still all terrible. Even though I like Pansy, but I'm still watching Rifle is Beautiful.
I need to start watching that.
I need to catch up on that.
Yeah, that one's okay. It's got the cute. I like the moments where it's just the cute girls doing stuff. Here's the thing, and Anubis might disagree. The sport is boring.
It's not a very exciting spectator sport. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. That it's not like it's like watching golf.
Yeah, it's just what is it? They stand there.
It's slightly less exciting than watching golf.
They shoot. Like, that's it.
Yep.
and it's not even like running around like
like airsoft.
Yeah. Again, they gotta make them. Which is why haven't they done Moe Girls and laser tag? Or if you're cool like me, Moe Girls and Photon, because that's my shit.
What the fudge is Photon?
Photon is that show that was kind of the competing show of laser tag. It was the competitor, and they made a show in the 80s and had a lot of Japanese production work done to it, including Studio Artmic and Shinji Aramaki as the designer for stuff.
Huh?
Wow, I have never heard of any of this shit.
Just Google Photon TV series.
Photon was a live-action television show in the mid-1980s, which was tied to the Photon laser tag arenas and home game. Never heard of any of this shit.
And here's the thing. I knew about the show in the 80s, too. So, I kind of...
I'm looking at...
Okay, I didn't know laser tag was a brand name.
Oh, yeah, laser tag was the brand, and this was like the competitor, but this one was much cooler because it had like, again, it had the production side of it was just, and one of the coolest ship designs that I loved as a kid, and it's like, oh, you know that thing that you love? Well, here's it's great. It's like this thing you love, this thing you love, this other thing you love, were all done by the same people or the same person. It's like. Yeah. What's the other one I'm watching? Kandagawa Jet Girls.
That's one I still need to pick up.
Yes, that's another show. That I gotta get K-Gods when he comes back. I gotta get K-Gods into that show because that seems like totally the type of show he would be into. It's done by the same people that did Valkyrie Drive and Seren Kagura, the original creators. It has, if you watch the uncensored version, which is really it's the only way to watch that show.
Yeah.
The only thing is some of the art is a little wonky on it. Some like, especially the CG parts when they're like on the jet skis, and they use like a computer model for the character. Not a very good computer model for it. Looks very, very obvious.
Right.
Like I'm fine with like the Love Live dancing. Like I've come to terms with that. Just doesn't look good. So that's pretty much it. I've actually been also rewatching Yuri. So at least the first 2 seasons that I have, which were the Doga Kobo studio ones. That's about it. Anything, Panda?
I rewatched Sakura Wars because I never really finished it, and I did a full-on sit-down powwow, start finish.
See, I own Sakura Wars, and I never finished it.
Well, it's because it's like we only had like I don't even know if we had like a one thing of it with a few episodes, and because I think my sister liked it, and we just never could find past. So now. It's like I watched the whole thing and I'm like, okay, cool. And now I know it's like, but there were some other anime out there that I've been like keeping my eye on. Like I still need to start watching English. I need to start watching Azur Lane because I play the game a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I should try that one out too because,
like I need to like Rifle is Beautiful. I need to check that out. I kind of lost interest in Demon Slayer. It just because I started watching and then I'm like,
if you want to get mad, watch Orisuki.
Orisuki?
Yeah. What's the full title? Because it's a light novel. Ore wo Suki nano wa Omae Dake Kayo.
You're gonna have to type that. Like, listen, I know I'm part Japanese, but
Just
okay.
look for Orisuki.
Orisuki.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's not wrong about that. That show is rage material.
I did rewatch it, because of the new season coming out, High Score Girl.
Oh yeah, I still need to get with that.
Which is an awesome series because it's basically about video games back in the day. And you can see where, because the anime showcases it, like, oh, like they were playing these video games. We're talking about arcade centers. And then, like, the new games came out, they were showcasing that. I'm like, oh my God, this is childhood. Like, but I know the season 2's, like, the episodes are starting to come out now. And I'm like, okay, let me rewatch one just to make sure my brain is, just to make sure I get every little detail possible. And then I was rewatching a little bit of Genshiken.
Always a good call.
Yeah, I haven't really sat down to watch the later season one with, like, because of the new characters.
Yeah, I still haven't finished that one.
Yeah, because I understand the notion of, this is a college, people come and go, and some of the characters will still be there, but it's like, and I'm attached with the originals, because I was, when it first came out, I was there watching it, and I really liked it a lot.
Right.
So that's the thing about anime. Like, you grow an attachment for these characters, and when they get changed out for something, like in this case, they're in college, it's hard to kind of grow attached to the new set of characters coming in. So, like, if you don't like the new characters coming in, then it's like...
What's the one with the chubby girl? Because that's the one I want to see.
That's the new one.
That's the new one,
that's the one I want to see. I will watch that one first.
You should probably watch the original one first so you have context for everything going on, because otherwise you're not going to have any context at all for a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the next one.
Yeah, I rewatched the whole first and second season, and I just love it. The first episode, the guy's like in there, he refuses to acknowledge him, like he's like looking through all these clubs. He's clearly an otaku, but he's not, saying he is, he's kind of like, oh. But I just love it when they brought him to the room and they all laughed that he was caught peeking at certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, yep, we got him. Like, got him in the act. But no, I appreciate all the stuff in there, including like they had one scene I even took I did a screen cap of too because it posted on my Twitter. The guy was the president. The guy was reading Nut Type, or not Nut Type.
New Type, but it was spelled Nutype.
It's the magazine you can nut to.
Exactly. But no, it's just interesting because I've just been rewatching a lot of the older stuff that I never got to finish, or the stuff that I love. I'm slowly starting to like pan out. Like, I knew what's Kandagawa Jet Girls.
Yeah.
Someone recommended it to me, so I'm like, okay, I'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
So that's on my list, and I definitely want to sit down and do the Phantasy Star Online series.
That one I need to get with.
Because guess what, guys? It's coming out next year for the U.S. markets, finally.
Finally, like 7 years after it was supposed to, but sure.
Better late than ever, bitches. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And rewatching a lot of old stuff because it's stuff that I enjoyed.
One more thing before we take a break. So about a week ago, I rewatched it's a movie that the more I see it, the more I legitimately like, even though it definitely has problems. Harmageddon.
This is one I haven't seen.
Okay. You should watch that someday. That's the one I said has to. That's the one. It's okay. So it's trying to, teach about racism while having a cast of ethnic stereotypes.
There we go. Nothing bad will happen there.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I saw this in the 90s because it was from 1983. The movie. And I was like, wow, this is some corny shit. And I hadn't even seen as much anime, nowhere at the level now. And Um, I kind of liken it to the Watchmen movie. Because that's a movie that's like both movies are, they came out 20 years after their original source material.
Okay.
Watchmen movie came out 20 years after the comic, and this movie Armageddon came out 20 years after its manga. They try to be very like, I don't know, like grand to like that high level of like social commentary in a way, but also the other reason that I say that is because both are, when they're great, they're like excellent. But when it's like bad, it's like the most cheesy, cringe-inducing. Although I would say Armageddon is better than the Watchmen movie, but I'm just saying both have moments of where it's either the absolute best that you will ever see, and also the most cringe-inducing. And it's not like you could like cut half and half the movie. It's like back and forth. All right. So I think that's about it.
Yeah. So we're up against the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
So,
So we got a selection of microtopics, and first up, so VZ, you're an artist.
Yes. Yeah. Although I always think of myself more as otaku than artist, even though I do a lot of art.
I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
No, but it's like there's some people who they have their identity as an artist, and that's fine. And I do a lot of art, but I think more about just the passion that I have for the media that I'm interested in. May supersede my art, even though the art is probably the thing I do the most. Or like if you clock it like the things that I do in my time, it's probably art. Considering the amount of art, considering the time, because I'm very to you guys, especially to you, Anubis, it might look like I'm very fast, but to me, I'm like very slow and meticulous, and careful because there's people like they upload shit every day. They put up on Twitter or Pixiv up new drawing. It's like how'd you? And it's like you're really like it's like how'd you get it to look that good? And and yeah, you could draw in a single day and every day, but at the time, but I'm going a little too far. So anyway, what would you ask me about my art first?
Well, I guess first things first is a good starting point is how'd you get started? Because I can like my background I basically have no art background. My art background is I drew a nice picture of Kagome from Inuyasha when I was in 6th grade, and I lost it.
I probably always drew before I can even remember. I was always making art. I was definitely more of a 2D artist than a 3. When I say 3D, I'm talking about like, sculpture and such. I mean, I would have loved to like make stuff of the characters, but I think I always probably had a stronger affinity, or maybe it just it came more naturally. That's a better term. 2D art. I think like the catalyst that accelerated me making art, the thing that made me like, okay, this is I want to be a storyteller. I want to make, cool shit to people to watch because I saw this cool shit. The catalyst would have to probably be Transformers the movie. There's any piece of media in all my life that ever made me say that I want I like this thing. Let me draw, even if I subconsciously, it was more of a subconscious thing. That's probably the thing that like made me. And just for listeners, I'm talking about the 1986 movie, which I actually saw in 1987 because I didn't see it when it came out in theaters, but I saw it when it first came out on video. Remember video? Remember VHS?
Yeah, I still have a few of those relics from a past age.
You had to rewind those things.
Day by day.
Yeah. It's like there was no line perfect. Because back, it's like if you wanted to draw this stuff, you know what you had to do? Pause the tape and hope that you drew fast. Otherwise, the tape eventually stops it. Then you would have to press play and then pause that same scene again.
Oh god.
Yeah, man. That's just such a like lifetime ago. But at the same time, it's like a thing that I still remember. Is just like, there wasn't like good reference material for any stuff. That's like that's what to take it granted so easily now is that I have the reference material. I have the character designs for this stuff. If I want to draw, like I'm drawing Mika from Idolmaster, it's like I got her art. I got the character, right there on my iPad. It's like try that in the 80s and even 90s. It's like I got this thing in the magazine. Because that was probably the other thing that the other catalyst was just anime in general. Made me want to draw, and the just seeing the insanely intricate art that to me at that time, it's like I want to be at this level. Seeing like there was this Super Nintendo game that I saw in Nintendo Power magazine called Zardian, who it had all the other designs were done by Hajime Katoki, but the main design was done by the guy that also did Hades Project Zerenmeyer and the Hathaway's Flash mobile suits. In fact, I will look up the piece of art. I think it's on because if you're like 11, you see this, it's like it's like that type of thing will blow you. Yeah, 1992 video. Why isn't? I forgot the R. Okay, this is a different piece of art, but yeah, I will find the other piece. Well, anyway, it was between that and seeing like the VHS cover of Bubblegum Crisis. It's Sam Goody. It's like and like I want to draw that. I think those were like the various catalysts that made me just like just want to recreate, which is so it slowly improved my my art. Here it is. Over the years in the 90s. I mean, Power Rangers and Super Sentai was also another thing I was really into. That kind of made me get really into mecha designing and also character designing, because that was the thing I really wanted to be, was a character designer also. So eventually I did go to art school. Yeah, I know, just laugh. Not the experience I really wanted, because they really don't. The thing about art school is they kind of tell you what you want to hear.
Yep.
And it's like, so they tell you what you want to hear, and it's like, oh, you know more about this stuff, or a lot of people. Okay, this is the thing I saw in Nintendo Power. By the way, the other thing is that they were kind of, I mean, again, it was the early 2000s, and there was like the fad of, the quote fad, anime fad, and a lot of the teachers just saw it as a fad.
Well, it didn't work out that way, did it?
No. In fact, the opposite. Manga has superseded comic books.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another thing, is because they seemed more interested in the story. Not, I mean, yeah, there were classes that were about how to draw an anime and such, but they really seemed more interested in how you told the story and such, including the one I told you, the Frederick Douglass comic that we had to make. And my first draft, I had him fighting with the slave the slave owner, and I made it like a sort of fighting game fight with the life bars. And eventually, I didn't do that in the eventually I did it straight through, which was again kind of boring and kind of it's like. Oh, did you see in the chat?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. Imagine seeing that if you're like 11, and again, like it's like your mind just sort of boggles, like just how could you draw something that complicated? How does someone could draw that? Especially then, all freehand.
Right.
And of course, clearly it's a cell. That's the other thing. It's a cell drawing. And it's like all that because you have to do that backwards when you do cell painting. And I guess because during the Moe boom, that became one of the other things is that like I really just became enamored. Well, I was always into anime girls and anime, you know, the Moe before, you know, how they call the pre-Moe era.
Proto Moe.
Proto Moe, that's it. But I guess when the Moe era did come, it was like it basically more. It basically accelerated even more me wanting to draw that stuff. So, you know, and that's the other thing is I hate people telling me, "Oh, you can't draw the," you know. It's like stop drawing robots, or you know, which was when I was young, or stop drawing, you know, cute girls or whatever. And it's like you realize you know, if I haven't stopped then, what's gonna make you stop me now?
I always feel like the people who say shit like that can never draw themselves.
Nah, I don't think they don't understand the drawing mentality of where because you know some people say, oh, why don't you try something different, or why don't you, you know, it's like artists are very comfortable with doing the same thing. And I mean, I guess that's about it. Any other questions, or we can move on to?
No, I got one more.
All right.
What's your process?
Okay, my process is that. All right, so sometimes I could draw straight on the computer doing line work, but really the easiest thing is just me doing on paper, you know, pencil, then you know, ink, and then I use the micron pens. And then scan it to the computer, even though I do a lot of like post processing of, like, you know, sometimes the proportions aren't right when I draw them, so I fix them up. And then I either do, then of course, you know, other processes to remove the dirt, you know, because there's things that you don't see that when it scans through.
Yeah.
So you gotta fix that. So if I do color again, if it's black and white, I just do, you know, with the tone. But if I do in color, I always pick like the background color first, which usually is purple, because I find purple to be the best, like it's like the best neutral color. Besides, also purple's my favorite color, but it's the best like not neutral, but like the reverse of like since if you're drawing a person, you know, peach color.
Right.
So it's the best thing to contrast. You know, it's saying that for about actually 2 years, I was doing some watercolor stuff, which was kind of the same processes of, you know, pencil, ink, and then watercolor, and then scanning it through, kind of scanning it in a few times and then putting it together to make it seamless.
Right.
And again, like I said, if you want to know, I usually have the reference right there. I mean, there's always my little touches of things that only I may notice. That's like, this is just something I do. But I'm always obsessed with trying to find the original character models or the screen caps.
Right.
To do the either the face or the pose that I want. The hair's the two things that are always the most difficult is the hair and getting the eyes right. In a lot of cases.
All
All
right.
right.
So you had another topic, VZ.
Yes, I do. Okay. So, you know, almost every season, there's always like that show the show that's like everyone goes on and it's like this is wrong with everything in the industry. Why are they pandering to XYZ fetish and whatnot? Well, anyway, there's going to be a show next season called what's it called? Oh, Ishuzoku Reviewers, and I will show you the promotional image for it. And here's the thing: I knew this was gonna be, rile those people even before.
Let's see what we got.
Hold on, I thought I had it here. Otherwise, I'll have to do.
I have the AnyList listing.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Yeah, just post that in.
Oh.
Yeah, basically monster.
Monster girls, but we're not hiding anything.
Yeah. Opie Loli Cowgirls. Yeah. Enough said.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And again, the best part is I knew people were gonna be, complaining about that. It's par for the, But the thing is, okay, so again, it to me, why are people complaining about the existence of a cartoon that they have no intention in watching? And again, I know it boils down to first world it's probably the first world problem because you're complaining about the existence of a cartoon from another country.
Oh, so here's what happened. A whole bunch of people whose entire frame is I didn't win the I didn't even come close to winning the social hierarchy game earlier in the life. Decided, hey, we're gonna impose a social hierarchy in the anime space. And then all those people made it okay to start shitting on people for what cartoons they like. And we tumbled that around in the dryer for 15 years. And now Twitter randos think it's acceptable to whine about shows that they had no intention to watch at all. My whole thing is, like, back in the day, used to be able to predict which show, like, ANN would freak out about. And that was all cool in the gang and whatnot. But now it's just gotten boring. Like, now you can predict what show people will freak out about, but it's not anyone with any influence. It's not everyone with any clout. It's just Twitter randos. It's always just Twitter randos.
And it's embarrassing us too. Is like, and then people think it's like, oh, this shouldn't have happened. You know, they're not going to listen to you, right? You're just making all this noise for nothing. Like, you're literally, this is not going to do anything.
I've said it a million times. I'll say it once more. Don't try and fight the demographic that's willing to spend hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl shit. Don't fight them. It's a losing battle. You're going to lose.
Win.
It's a no-win situation for you.
You
might want to if you want to harangue and shame and talk down. That's not gonna fucking help you because if any of those people could be shamed out of enjoying cute anime girl shit, they would have stopped it. They would have stopped enjoying cute anime girl shit a while ago. They wouldn't be spending hundreds of dollars on anime girl figures.
Yeah. I'm just correcting Gray Forrester in the chat because he goes Japan's technically third world. No,
No.
it's first world
No,
because
they're
it's
very first world.
They are a very first world country.
yeah. But really, the whole first, second, third came about during the Cold War.
Yeah.
Because first world is countries that were aligned with NATO. Second world was communist countries, and third world was countries aligned with neither.
Exactly.
Like they're just
But
making a lot of noise.
It's boring.
Stupid.
It's boring, is what it is.
But also, it's what you say, which I really have to agree with you. It's the lack of gatekeeping.
Well, it's the lack of gatekeeping, but a lot of people are getting it. A lot of people are getting it twisted, which to a certain extent, I expect. But
I'm
it's
not
a lack
even
of
saying
gatekeeping
you have
on.
to like this thing or get out. It's like that's not even. I'm not even advocating. I don't want people to think it's like you have to like this thing or get the fuck out.
Well, it's a lack of legitimately calling out the bad actors in positions of influence.
Right.
And that's what I'm chiefly talking about when I'm talking about gatekeeping. But nobody, like, everyone likes to think I'm talking about the Twitter randos, and I'm really not. I'm talking about the people who made that kind of behavior acceptable. But I get I get that a lot of people don't. I get that that's uncomfortable to talk about for some people, because some of these people have aspirations of reaching positions of influence. And quite ironically, a lot of the people that I'm talking about when I talk about gatekeeping are the gatekeepers to those positions of influence. So suddenly, and I said this a few shows ago, it becomes an uncomfortable conversation, because at a certain point you might be endangering a job if you decide to call out some of the people at ANN for the legitimately toxic shit that they do on the regular. So I get it. It's a horrible paradigm, and I have a whole lot of respect for it, but I get why it happens. But that's what I'm talking about when I say gatekeeping.
I want to know why it's acceptable. I understand why. It's because it's it's kind of the modern it's the modern call-out culture of. But why is it acceptable for people to it's like, okay, this thing exists that you don't like. Why do you care? This shit I can't stand, but I'm not going to complain about it. It exists. I don't look at it. Find other things to look, but no, you're going to waste your time and talk about, the existence of this thing that you don't like.
Well, it's because people like the executive editor of Anime News Network waste their time talking about the existence of things they don't like. So if the tastemakers, opinion leaders, and influencers in the subculture are doing that, then it's a-okay for people to do that en masse. That's the problem.
But to be fair, I do love seeing these people's reactions to the existence of the stuff, because it's like, again, it's clockwork. It's you know what they're gonna say, you know what they're gonna do whenever these type of things come out.
Well, that's why it's boring to me.
I find it hilarious because, again, it's like haven't we gone through this? Isn't it? Nope. They're still it's like these people, they never learn. They never get it into their heads to, like, just, And again, I think it's also that, again, some of these people are only interested in, they get into the stuff that they got into. You know how you're talking about, like, how Tsunami is not a good entryway because it kind of doesn't give an impression of what anime all anime is, and only a certain type of anime, and that lets the certain people that get into the fandom, but then when they find out about the larger what the larger production industry is. I'm kind of wording it wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I
And then
think
they
it's
and then they
part that. I
complain.
think it's a big part that behavior has been normalized by people in positions of influence in the subculture, and I think a lot of it is just the influence of social media.
Oh yeah.
It's like people realize that they can get attention for doing this stupid complaining about cartoons shit, and as a result they're incentivized to continue doing it,
Even though it's stupid, regardless.
even though
You're
it
not gonna
doesn't
win
give
at all,
anyone any
ever.
value. It's completely without value.
And to top it off, the thing that I find the most disingenuous is that they think these things are, again, when people say, like when people talk about like all these shows, it's like they make them like the way you would make a car,
Oh, well,
and
that's a
they don't think
stupid
about the
paradigm
hard.
from like a decade ago.
Yeah, they don't think about how there's actually much hard work put into a show, and yeah, there's kind of production flubs, and yeah, okay, fine, the animators aren't getting what they should be paid, fine, but there's a lot of hard work involved in the show, and there's a lot of very dedicated people in the industry that are there not for the money, but because they could find work elsewhere if they wanted to.
Here's an assertion: none of these people actually give a fuck about the hard work going into the shows unless it's a show they like. Guarantee you, they're not consistent about giving a fuck about the show, because otherwise they wouldn't be out here making stupid assertions about the shows that get made and the people who make those shows.
It's funny how certain people, I won't name names, but how certain people cared about KyoAni once the whole, the thing that happened to them. And it's like, and again, I won't call names, but it's like, dude, you're the same guy, ragging on the fact that they were making moe and quote otaku pandering and or lolicon pandering.
It's one thing to like feel a way about the shit that happened to KyoAni, because that's legitimately bad.
Right.
But
right.
There's a particular, and what I'm speaking specifically about is the whole, this was created cynically mentality.
Oh,
that's the shit I have no respect for.
That's the one that really it's like created cynically, and it's like cynical cash grab.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so a bunch of people put hours, blood, sweat, and tears into this, and because it's something that this person doesn't like, it's created cynically. But part of the reason it's so boring to me right now is because all of the people that we were battling like 5, 6, 7 years ago have lost all the relevance. When was the last time Anime News Network made headlines other than them doing some very, very transparently attention-seeking shit or fucking up again? Like, they don't do anything. They don't have any relevance anymore. When was the last? Here's a good question. When was the last time either of you heard from Anifem?
Oh my god.
Okay, I haven't heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
So Anifem hasn't made headlines since they stopped getting king made by Crunchyroll. So
It's basically they came, they went, and just bam.
Well, it's not even that. It's like they came, they were big upped by by major people by people in positions of influence in this fandom, and they couldn't ride that wave forever.
Nope.
So now nobody, like a lot of people who were previously hearing about them all the time are no longer hearing about them.
Mm.
So
Well, now we have,
and that's actually pretty significant. Like it's one thing, but it's actually pretty significant because not only have the old guard, the anime news networks of the world, the colony drops of the world, lost their relevance, the new people coming up perpetuating that paradigm have lost influence as well. So what we're really seeing, it's not just the old guard falling into obscurity. It's this entire mentality falling into obscurity among people who have been in positions of influence for a long time. Now it's just the randos who are coming in.
Yeah, the damage is done already. That's the problem.
Well, that's the thing though. We never had the conversation to fix that. We can still have that conversation and we can still fix that damage, but we have to be willing to have these uncomfortable conversations, and the people who are most in position to have those conversations aren't, because that's uncomfortable for them, because at a certain point that means they have to call out people who have perpetuated this mentality for a long time, some of whom are their bosses. So I get that's an uncomfortable conversation, but it needs to be pushed.
Yeah, people don't like to be put in uncomfortable situations or hear something that they don't like.
People don't like to have uncomfortable conversations, but what we need is more of the rank and file saying, "Hey, why aren't we having this conversation?" Telling these like anime YouTubers, why this seems pretty important and you've never addressed this.
And then when it's like, but that's not how the way the real world works. Like, you're just ignoring it at this point. It's still gonna be there.
Just fucking ignoring it.
You
It's uncomfortable conversations. The second worst thing to come out of the Hazakari situation is we never had a conversation about how to stop it from happening again, because the people in position to have that conversation deflected. Because if they were to have that conversation, it would have been really fucking uncomfortable, because the first question would have been, how did you let this rapist in with your clique and writing articles in your website and attending your secret anime con ANN parties? It's a real uncomfortable situation when you're the outlet that enabled this guy to victimize people. Real uncomfortable conversation to have.
I believe they call it what, dramatic irony?
No, I call it ANN is a Bush League organization, and the people in charge there have a very, very low level of standards that basically equates to, hey, if you agree with us, you're on board. If you agree with us and can write, you're on board. And that makes it very easy for people to fake the funk long enough to get what they want, even if what they want is some unsavory shit. So, I will attempt to segue into this next topic. So we know about Anime News Network and whatnot, and we're out here, we're not liking Anime News Network, but there have been quite a few been quite a few people throughout the years who have taken their passion for anime and built businesses off of that.
Mhm.
And I think these people don't get enough recognition or credit, in my opinion, because these are the people out here like really actually building shit off of their passion for anime and really actually making something happen based on fandom and whatnot.
If you're able to do this to support yourself, your livelihood, and it's your passion of yours, it's like the best thing in the world for
Oh, absolutely.
you. Like you turned up your passion into a money making thing, and it's like, hey, I can continue my passion, and it's like it's a business now. It's
Well,
like,
and here's the thing that I've also noticed, and it's three people in particular that I focus on when I talk about this kind of thing. It's Danny Chu, who has his Smart Doll business now. It's Peter Payne, who runs J-List.
Oh yeah.
And it's Jacob Grady, who owns Faku.
I would also say it's I forgot his name, but the guy that runs Hollywood Japan.
I don't know.
What was it? Oh, Scott. Yeah. Oh yeah. Scott T. Hards, which is the boss of Hollywood Japan.
I don't know his story, but I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you.
But
a common
he
thread.
Basically, actually, I could tell you what his story was.
All right.
In the 90s, when he was over in Japan, he noticed how much better quality the Japanese airplane models were.
That's a fact, by the way.
And so, people overseas were asking, "Hey, can you send me some of these kits?" So that became, his business, and of course, also when the online internet stores started. So yeah, I think he started in like the late 90s, like 98, 99.
All right, yeah. So it's enterprising people who find a business sector that happens to be within the anime fandom, and they build a business that capitalizes on that. And
It's capitalism.
between the three I mentioned, I noticed a particular trend between those three. They all three of them get a lot of hate. Jacob Grady, Peter Payne, to some extent. Peter Payne gets less, but he still gets some. And Danny Chu.
well, it's like, for me, it's like being a content creator. Just to me, it's a business. Like, if you're going to be a content creator, you're going to get hate regardless. So, it's like, maybe people are just jealous of your success at this point. Like, hey.
Well, it's like there are some people who, like, for some reason they see any attempt to make money off of this whole thing as like an affront. And which is a perspective I have no respect for. But you saw this when Faku first went legit. Like, a whole bunch of people got really, really angry that they weren't going to be able to get their free hentai from that specific website anymore, even though there's a trillion other websites you can get it from. That said, Faku was really good, still is really good, and quite frankly, it was probably the best website for that particular niche at the time. So there's that. But at the same time, a lot of people were really mad that Faku was going legit, which, knowing the story, they really had no choice, because it was either... Well, the option they were presented with was, Wani Magazine calls them up, "Hey, Faku, take down all our shit, or we're going to sue you." And Jacob presented them with a different option. Said, "Hey, maybe we can make a deal." And they ended up making the deal. But yeah, so a lot of people got mad, and a lot of people are still mad because Faku decided to go legit instead of shut down.
I don't even know if that's how Crunchyroll started too.
That is not how Crunchyroll started, actually. And the reason I don't list Crunchyroll in this list is this very specific reason. Crunchyroll, they were a pirating service. While they were a pirating service, they sought venture capital investments to the tune of, let me get the exact figure. Yeah, so in 2008, while they were still a pirating service, Crunchyroll sought and received venture capital investment to the tune of $4.05 million from Venrock venture capital firm. So the difference between Faku and Crunchyroll, and the reason I don't compare the two, and the reason it's not appropriate to compare the two, is Faku was presented with basically an ultimatum, made a deal with the company that gave them that ultimatum, and it worked out for them, and they were wildly successful as a result of that, and as a result to things like their commitment to quality and whatnot. Crunchyroll ran a pirating site. It got difficult to run the site because of the bandwidth costs. And as a result of that, they sought venture capital funding while engaged in illegal activity as their primary business practice. So no, they're not the same. It was only after that round of venture funding that Crunchyroll began to seek legal distribution deals. So that's why Crunchyroll and Kungao and them are not in that list of 3 I mentioned, because I don't agree with what they did as a business practice, and I don't equate them with these other people, because as far as vilifying making money off of this kind of stuff, I do vilify when you're engaged in illegal activity as a primary business practice, and then you go and try do something like seek venture funding for that. That funding could have gone to a company that would do this legally from the get, but it went to Crunchyroll, and as a result, Crunchyroll is currently the largest anime streaming platform, as far as I know.
Jesus Christ!
They're a real shady company, and a lot of people don't know that particular detail that I just red pilled you to on right now. A lot of people don't know that Crunchyroll, and once again, for the people in the back, sought and received venture capital funding over $4 million while engaged in illegal activity as their primary business practice. So that'd be like if I ran a chop shop and I went to what was it? I'm blanking on my venture capital firms. And I went to some venture firm and said, "Hey, I run this chop shop. I run this illegal chop shop where stolen cars come in and get broken down for parts to sell on the black market. Let me get $4 some million to continue running this operation."
How's that hard garden spice?
That's a whole different problem.
And to think that Crunchyroll did some pretty interesting and serious shenanigans on their own front.
Well, when when your business has normalized doing things like seeking venture funding for your pirate operation, then yeah, I'm not surprised that they're willing to do untoward stuff in order to get ahead in their business. Anyway, continuing on where we were going before that tangent. You see, the one that confuses me most, because the thing Peter Payne gets hate on is because he uses fan art in like tweets advertising J-list stuff.
Now he doesn't do that anymore.
He doesn't do that anymore? Okay,
No.
cool. So
he uses like official art, either official art or screen caps.
Cool in the gang.
Shows.
Good. And quite frankly, I understand that was a problem. I don't think it was that big a problem. And
if
I don't
he does
think people
fan
were
art, he'll at least like credit now.
Yeah. And the problem was it didn't credit the artists. But I don't think people were thinking about it the wrong way. If I was a fan artist, I'd be like, hey, Jay, you can use whatever fan art of mine you want as long as I get paid. Do it. Get some kind of deal going with J-List, and get a cadre of official J-List artists or something like that. But that's beside the point. What I'm really confused about is like Danny Chu gets hate for some reason. You understand? You ever understand? Like, why is this guy getting hated on?
Because I think it's because of the whole peddling otaku-ism.
Was like, yeah, sure.
As like a good thing.
Was like, yeah. What the fuck else is he gonna do? That's number one.
You know.
Number two, like, I'm not gonna act like that's a bad thing. Like,
and
sorry.
also, his father was rich already, so which is like fine. You know.
Sure. His
takes money to make money.
Well, here's the thing. I've read through Danny Chu's stuff. He tells his whole story, and the dude put in work. The dude fucking works his ass off. Has worked his ass off. Has always been working his ass off. All the time.
You also see him on the
like you can fucking go.
like...
You can go to his thing, and he's got like all the shit he does and has done. So it's like, okay, I feel like the dad thing, because for those who don't know, Danny Chu is the son of famous shoe designer Jimmy Chu. So it's like, I feel like that is kind of working backwards for people, because like they see Danny Chu and they don't like something about him. Like they see Danny Chu and it's like, oh, for some reason I really don't like this guy. And as a result, they start working backwards and say, oh, so his father is Jimmy Chu, so he must have inherited a whole lot of money, or he must have been like born wealthy. When if you go to the dude's website, and he's got basically his full resume on here. 1998 to 1999, Japan Airlines computer engineer. 99 to 2001, web marketing executive for Nature. Amazon Japan, 2001 to 2004, senior website manager. The dude has credentials. The dude's put in work. It's quite obvious he's done his homework. He's paid his dues, and now as a result, he gets to run around promoting his doll line, his highly successful doll line, and and promote otaku culture and like talk about what he wants to talk about. And people working backwards, they don't like what he wants to talk about, so they're gonna look back and find reasons to hate on him. And it's like, okay, I get it. You don't like that this guy is promoting otaku culture as something to be proud of, something to be passionate about. I get it, but I don't respect
That's
it.
what I think they're complaining about.
We should be like rooting for him. This is a success story.
Well, here's the thing, Panda. The people who are out here complaining about him are people who have a how to put this. I don't necessarily care about being charitable. I care about being accurate. They have an axe to grind with the way otaku tend to, and when I talk about otaku, I'm talking about like those people who spend hundreds of dollars on anime girl shit that I told people not to fight with. They have a bone to pick with people who engage with their media that way, because they don't want people to engage with their media that way. They think, for some reason, if less people were doing that, more people would be liking what they like, even though that's wrong. But that's what their frame is. So if Danny Chu's out here and he's highly successful, and if Danny Chu is out here being a role model for people, then that's a problem, because Danny Chu is one of these hundreds of dollars on anime girl figures people. So because of that, we gotta find reasons to hate on Danny Chu. Say, wow, this guy is able to be highly, and it also it 100% jostles the whole concept of otaku being losers, because like you got this dude sitting in front of like the Japanese government committee in a suit, and in front of him on the desk is like one of his dolls, one of his ball jointed dolls. So he's not apologetic about it. He's not ashamed about it. And we can't have people in positions of influence like that, because, what message is that going to give to the people that we wish would just stop talking?
People are just... What's that word I'm trying to look for, Anubis?
Haters.
Yeah, that's
haters.
It. Haters gonna hate. Yeah.
But then jumping off of that, this is something we touched on last show but didn't really expand on. Is another uncomfortable conversation people don't want to have. People like to draw this separation between art and business. And that's a problem, because they like to draw that separation in places where that separation does not exist. So as a result, when they talk about art in those spaces, they're not having a conversation that occurs in real life. It's like
they're only doing this for the money.
Well, that's one paradigm that kind of plays into that separation. But my whole thing is, we attach this we attach a positivity to art and a negativity to business, when in reality they're both working in concert with one another, trying not to limit one another too much. And I don't think people are understanding that.
People think that art should always be free or something like that.
Well, it's like,
trying to make money off of this. Oh, you're a bad person. Oh.
well, okay, so the only conversation when art comes up, when business comes up in an art conversation, is when it's perceived that the business side somehow limited the art side. And it's like, yeah, I get it that sometimes happens, but we also have the opposite situation happens as well, and we never talk about that because we have this negativity toward business that plays into this whole thing. But what I'm getting at is people like to talk about art as it's this separate thing from business. Never, even knowing how commercial a medium anime is, you're gonna get shouted down if you start bringing up sales numbers in a discussion, because all of a sudden the argument becomes, oh well, sales numbers don't mean quality, when nobody ever made that argument. But what people don't understand,
it just means otaku have bad taste.
Yeah, it gets into that bullshit, and it's like,
pandering only to otaku.
Can we have a discussion about why? Okay, so let me hit up someanything.com because I want to get a real example here. Series data, quick view. Wait for that to load, and I'm gonna sort by. Yeah, why not? Let's sort by total sales. Yeah, so can we have a conversation about how Bakemonogatari managed to sell 112,000?
Oh damn!
It's like, can we have a conversation about what was it about the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya that put it in the 79,000 club? Like, it would be nice to be able to have these conversations. I guarantee you there's people in offices in high-rise buildings over in Japan having these conversations, and I think we're missing a whole lot when we refuse to have conversations about how some of this stuff managed to sell as much as it is, because its genesis is in business. We can't separate it from that. We can try, but as a result, we have a conversation that does not occur in the real world. And so I don't get what, and to a certain extent I do get it, because for some people, not all people who refuse to have this conversation, but for some of them, you end up having to admit that something you find very low on the art spectrum managed to do something right. Like, you might have to admit that maybe there's something about I don't know, maybe there's something about K-On! that really resonated with people, and you're forced to have a conversation about what that thing might have been.
even outside the otaku demographic, because K-On! Did big outside of that.
Yeah, so
You know,
you might end up having to have a conversation about how this thing you inexplicably hate managed to appeal and resonate with people to such a level. Might end up having to have an uncomfortable conversation about why Lucky Star made it into the 38,000 club. So I get that angle, but there's also another angle that just sees this hard separation between art and business. And to a certain extent, I believe it's because a lot of people have misconceptions about business, like just in general as an institution. And
right.
And that's generally just a result of them being miseducated about business. But
yeah, oh yeah.
It's a weird thing that I've noticed for years. Like this is something I was talking about back on Task Force MOE. Like you can't talk about sales numbers. You can't talk about marketing. You can't talk about and matter of fact, I wrote an article. I think this was last year on Iyashike, talking about what I call the consumerist perspective, where we're not talking about anime from the perspective of a creator or from the perspective of a critic. We're talking about anime from the perspective of a consumer and from the perspective of business. Yeah, this is July 8th, 2018. Oh yeah, and this is where I get that quote I repeated twice during this episode. Don't fight the demographic that's willing to spend hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl projects. It's a no-win battle. But,
you're right.
Okay, why did we never talk about how Strike Witches got a ringing endorsement from the Japan Cultural Affairs Agency?
Because Japan is fucked up.
That shit
That's
came and
what
went, and we never had a conversation about that.
We don't have a lot of conversations about a lot of things.
No, we don't.
Well, here's the thing, and this is why I have a problem with the establishment influencers in the anime subculture. It's fucking criminal that we never had a conversation about Strike Witches winning that endorsement.
Because it's an unfavorable show. Because that's a show by the unfavorables.
Or here's a good conversation we never had. Why did Sky Girls fail while Strike Witches was wildly successful? And I understand that we had that conversation.
Yeah.
But the people who should most be having those conversations never had that conversation. NTR Radio shouldn't be the people first having that conversation in the world. It's like, and this is another thing that we talked about on this show that I haven't heard talked about anywhere else, is what do Bakemonogatari, Love Live Second Season, Gundam Seed Destiny, Madoka Magica, Gundam Seed all have in common as the top 5 shows in total sales on SimonAnything.com.
Exactly. Discuss what is it that made those things.
That's a fucking important discussion. That's a critically important discussion to be having. But nobody wants to have that discussion because we're all so caught up in our art bullshit, in our critical theory bullshit, in our let's criticize it from this perspective. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss, quote unquote, it from this perspective. Not justifying its, like, criticism, not justifying its own existence by providing value, but just existing because people believe for some reason that criticism is its own answer to why criticism.
Right. Well, also, it's when they do talk about these things, it's always in a. I always feel it's like from a perspective where they can't like sort of take their own. Like how you were talking about you did that article, Americentrism
Yeah.
in the fandom. They can't take their mind to think, what is it that the Japanese see of this stuff, or even Western fans. It's only their point of view, and whenever they write this stuff, it's always with a sort of postmodernist, modern feminist mindset.
Oh yeah,
It's
because
never
it's inexplicable to them that this stuff could have value to people, and that this stuff could have enough value to people to encourage them to support it to the significant degree that they do. Which is why I open the consumer's perspective article with, "Do not fight the demographic that's willing to spend hundreds on cute anime girl products." Like, if that's inexplicable to you, you're not going to have a good time. If you can't begin to understand why those people might do what they do, you're going to be very fucking confused for a long time in this medium.
And also, outside because they have no girlfriends, that whole like.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's inexplicable to them, because their only explanation is, oh, these people must have some kind of exterior reason for latching onto this cute girl stuff, and it never occurs to them, because that's something that's impossible, that they find impossible. It never occurs to them that maybe this media has some value, and maybe it's worth finding out what makes these people tick and what makes this stuff valuable. It's why I had such a problem with database animals versus otaku spaces.
I was thinking about that.
What database animals did, by Hiroki Azuma, by the way, but what database animals did was an examination of otaku and otaku culture from the outside looking in as a cultural critic. What Otaku Spaces was literally going to where otaku live and talking to them about what they're into and why they're into it.
That's what I always keep saying about whenever I read, like, when someone says, why is it there's so many anime about little girls? Why are people so into this stuff? And it's like, ask them. Why don't you ask the otaku? They're not gonna bite. They're not gonna run away from you. Just ask them.
They might be a little shy at first, but once you get them going, believe me, it's like, they're gonna go full speed. So.
They want to talk.
Yeah, they might be a little shy because you just got done calling them all sorts of names for liking a cute girl anime. It's because a lot of these people fundamentally don't want input from that sector of the fan base. Like, I've asked this question several times on this podcast throughout the years, and we still have yet to get a good answer. Name me one, and the landscape has sort of changed, but stick with it.
I know what you're gonna say.
Name me one reviewer for a major outlet that likes cute girl anime. Ready, go.
The closest I could think is the one who's the one that did anime, and he used to do anime on DVD. But now he has.
Well, you don't know his name, so obviously there's a problem here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm shit. Shit. I know the site. I just forgot. He used to review the DVDs and Blu-rays.
I mean, I'm with you, but without a name, you're just proving my point.
All right, I'll look it up. Continue on.
But yeah, that's the thing, is when you have these positions of influence, and all of them are inhabited by people who come from this critic mindset, from this trying to be higher level mindset, you end up people coming from the Hiroki Azuma mindset rather than from the Patrick W. Galbraith mindset, in keeping with the dichotomy between database animals and otaku spaces, the two books. People who are willing to look at this stuff externally as cultural critics, rather than people who are willing to actually have a conversation with the people who are into this stuff to figure out what makes them tick. And I feel like that
Chris Beveridge.
Okay.
That's the
Again, the fact that you had to look him up, it speaks volumes.
You never heard of him before?
I've heard of Chris Beveridge. I know who Chris Beveridge is, but the fact that you had to look him up to answer my question.
Yeah. Right. Well, I was having a brain fart moment.
I feel like the refusal to have that conversation, and again, this isn't everyone who refuses to have this conversation, but it's a large part of the underlying paradigm behind the fact that we're not having this conversation. The refusal to have that conversation is underlined by people not wanting to talk to otaku about how they engage with their media, because at some point you're going to have that conversation if you're committed to having a talk in the real world about how anime exists in the real world, and include a discussion about business in that conversation about the art. Okay, Panda, you had a topic.
Yes, it is. It took me a while to think about this, but I got one. It's about video games, and it's talking about, when we think about video games, people play a game, and then after they're done with it, a lot of people, good amount of people, they would, sell it back to a store to get, trading for something out of it, right?
I can actually say I've never once done that in my entire life.
Gold star for you, Anubis. So the used games market is big, not only in the U.S., but especially Japan. And we're seeing in the age, where digital medium is, like digital games is growing more and more. PC gaming is basically strictly digital at this point. We rarely ever see, a PC game that's a physical. Like when I had Black Ops 4, my friend told me, dude, this is not even a disc. It's just like a cardboard disc with a code on it.
You know what I fucking miss? The huge boxy PC game boxes.
Yes, I miss those things. And what I'm getting to is that, when games are becoming more digital, we are eventually going to see, consoles. Well, we are already seeing them now. Like, they're game developers and all that dandy stuff. It's going to be more of a digital front now. Like PC gaming is, hey, yes, people can, they don't need physical anymore. Everything they just downloaded on the console gaming market is like the last bastion at this point. When are we going to see basically a digital front for games, digital games only thing? Because it's not going to happen in the next generation, but it's going to happen eventually. And a lot of game stores out there that's not GameStop, mom and pop store. I had to interject there. Like, that's not GameStop's. They live on this stuff. So, what do you guys think?
Well, it's gonna be an entire like any game store is basically gonna become a retro game store overnight, because the paradigm is gonna shift to, okay, all games, all digital now. So if you're selling disc games, you're only ever selling old games. And I think it's gonna create a growing market for that, because as digital games proliferate, anyone looking for any of the old games, they're either going to have to go online to eBay, Amazon, and whatnot, or hit up one of these game stores.
Yeah, but don't they want to sell brand new stuff? I don't buy modern games. I only play on my, tablet.
So for the benefit of VZ and people who aren't familiar with GameStop's failing business model.
I kind of know already because I listened to some video stuff anyway. But yeah, you could tell me.
Yeah, so what GameStop does is they'll sell the new games because, of course, they're going to sell the stuff as soon as it comes out. But their primary business model, where they make the most of their money, is, I talk as if they're already dead. They're still continuing on, but who knows for how long. The primary way they make the money is they will buy back games and give people either store credit or cash. Not very much at that. But they'll buy back games and then resell them. So if you buy a new PS4 game and that's going to be $60 brand new. And then they'll turn around and once someone trades that in for some cash or some store credit, they'll turn around and sell that for $55. So the consumer saves $5, but GameStop gets GameStop nets all the profit from that.
Yeah. And sadly, GameStop, they stopped carrying retro, and they just recently decided to start doing it again. I believe majority of all the retro sales is done online, and I think only very few stores have actual library.
Yeah,
but it's interesting.
It's too little, too late at this point.
But it is interesting. It's like I know, like in Japan, one thing's why the Japanese gamers didn't like the Xbox, both the original and the 360, is because it scratched discs. And when you got people who really like the condition of their games being spotless, that's like an instant no-no. It did not help the Xbox cause during both generations, that's for sure. Especially with the Xbox 360, even moving it, it's like, But it's just an interesting dynamic how PC we're so used to this, and consoles are just it's like the one last thing before you go all digital at this point. Because there is out there an Xbox One that's completely discless. It has no disc tray in it at all, and the only thing you can do is download.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, PC people have been dealing with that for a while too.
Oh yeah.
Like, doesn't your PC have no optical drive, Panda?
Yep, my PC does not have an optical drive.
Do you want one? I have one lying around here. Like,
No.
What are you doing?
No, I'm used to it. Like,
Yeah, that's some shit I can't understand. Like, I got this fucking...
this old school thing.
Well, it's not even the old Windows 98 PC I'm talking about. I'm talking about this copy of Unreal Anthology that I got several years ago. That's like, okay, Unreal 2, Unreal Tournament 2004, all on one DVD. I pop that in, wait like 15 minutes for that whole thing to install, and boom, I have my games. Like that's the real problem with the all digital paradigm is, okay, we know for the most part that we can basically trust Steam not to fuck us over. I don't know if I can trust Origin with that. I definitely don't know if I can trust the Epic Games Store with that. But in general, we don't know if we can trust these companies who have control of these platforms to not fuck us over if something happens to the game on the store. Like, one of my Xbox 360 hard drives has Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Both games you can't get on the Xbox Live Arcade anymore. If anything happens to either of those games on that hard drive, I'm shit out of luck. even though I paid money for the game, even though I bought both those games fair and square.
You couldn't re-download them again?
I don't know if I can.
Because I do have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on my PS3, and I bought it, and it always gives me the option to re-download it. Like, I just changed out the hard drives not too long ago, and it's like, oh, I can re-download it? Sweet.
Okay, that's good that they did that. Can we trust the Epic Game Store to do the same thing? Can we trust Origin to do the same thing?
Yeah, no. It's
so
like...
that's my problem, is that the issue and the reason I still have optical drives is, number one, so I don't have to repurchase all this Unreal stuff again and all this other stuff. And number two, so I know that I have this stuff. And that's the issue I have with all digital. And plus, I've been phasing out on consoles for like the better part of half a decade at this point. Like the last time I touched my PS3 was when a friend of mine came over with his PSVR and we hit up some Ace Combat 7. That was several months ago. PS4. Sorry. PS4. That was several months ago. And the last time I touched it before then was when I beat Ace Combat 7 for like the first or second time.
Yeah.
And I haven't really touched it since for several months, other than to try and play a Blu-ray and find out that Sony's console does not natively play Sony's own media format, which was fun, which is another problem I have with modern game consoles, though to be fair, I've had a problem with Sony for quite a while, so that's really it really should have been no surprise to me, but it kind of was, and I was disappointed.
Yeah.
But my point is, I've been just backing off on consoles for a while, and if consoles are gonna go all digital eventually, then I have no regrets about that. Other than some exclusives, like if they come out with a new Virtual On, I'll buy that console. That's guaranteed. But listen, it was 15 years between Virtual On Mars and a certain magical Virtual On, so I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, it's it is interesting too that you brought up. You know, we're branching out a little bit. You know, like you got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on that hard drive.
Yes.
On your account.
Yep.
I got
fair and square.
I myself got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on my PSN account. You know, it's like it does bring in the interesting dynamic if games go digital for the consoles. You know, like we saw with the Wii, there were some exclusive games that you could only get on the Wii Store online, and the Wii Store is offline now. Like you cannot get those games again legitimately, even though if you already own it, because the store is offline.
Also, Nintendo doesn't want to sell used Nintendo stuff on Amazon.
Everyone likes to pretend Nintendo's this plucky company that just makes really good games, and yes, I'm with you, they make really good games, but they're also horribly anti-consumer and really don't know what they're doing, particularly with regard to online services.
Digital gaming can be really nice, really convenient. But at the same time, it does have a suck point to it, because what happens if the game gets pulled? Like, for instance, Alan Wake, for the longest time, it was not available on Steam.
But here's the thing.
You can re-download it, but, no one else can buy it until, they got the license again, and then it's like, oh, hey, now we can resell it again.
Well, here's the thing. What's more convenient about digital than discs? That's called a pregnant pause. It means I'm right.
Which is actually pretty interesting.
And don't get me wrong. I've got fucking... I'm out here with fucking 300 some games in my Steam library. I'm not against digital, but don't sit here and tell me that it's more convenient than discs. On some level, yeah, I'm not. There's no part of me that has any desire to store 300 some disc games for PC. No part of me that has any desire to do that. But
I miss cartridges.
I don't. I fucking don't miss cartridges. But
Yeah,
there's no part of me that has any desire to store 300 discs, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that it's more convenient. Here's the real. You're not going to tell me that there aren't trade-offs, because there are definitely trade-offs. And the big reason that companies are moving toward digital and moving away from discs is control. They want to be able to control the product. They want to be able to pull the product from market. If something happens, then they need to pull the product from market. With digital, they're able to do that. With discs, they're not. They also want to be able to make sure everyone playing the game bought a copy. One of my ex-girlfriends has my copy of Halo 2. She didn't buy the shit.
That sucks.
No, I don't miss Halo 2. I'm gonna be very real. Halo 2 is the bottom tier Halo. There's no circumstance under which I'm.
But she, pretty much stole it at that point.
Well, no, I had Halo 3 at that point, so I didn't give a fuck. Did not give a fuck. Now, what I was upset about. Actually, no, I don't really know why I was upset about this, and I'll explain in a bit. But I had let a friend of mine borrow my copy of Sylphie the Lost Planet for the PlayStation 2. This was years ago. That friend ended up moving away before he had a chance to return that copy of the game. Which I did eventually track down a copy of the game and discovered that I haven't gotten any better at it since I was 11 years old. So I didn't really have to miss that game, but my point is I'm able to do that. Like Homeboy didn't buy that copy of Sylphie the Lost Planet, but he has it now. You're able to do that, and you're not able to do that with companies exerting control over whether or not people are able to get access to the game, because okay, now you have to have an account, you have to go through the digital store and blah 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 blah, all this mess. When previously, you just step up in the GameStop, plop down your however many for however much, and then jump back home and then put the disc in the thing.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that you offered me the CD thing, because I have one game boxed up. It's one of a PC game. Enemy Territory Quake Wars.
Dog, son, listen. I played the demo for that on Xbox 360.
It is a fun game. Let me tell you that much.
Is that part of the Quake series?
It is.
It is, and it's actually a prequel to the Quake series too, because it takes place. It's like what happened when the Strogg originally invaded Earth.
Yeah, it's a prequel to Quake 2 specifically.
Yeah, and with this though, it was one of the most popular multiplayer games to play on back in the day, because everyone loved Enemy Territory. Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. It was a really fun multiplayer game. And when Enemy Territory
Panda, keep going with what you're going for. I'm gonna jump off and grab something real quick.
Okay. With that though, it was Splash Damage. They are well known for being a really good multiplayer company. And when Enemy Territory Quake Wars came out, it was awesome. It was amazing. It was on the id Tech 4 engine, and people were having a blast playing this. And for a time, it was available on digital. I believe it was available on Steam, and then it was gone. And the only way you can ideally play it now is if you torrent it, or if you bought it beforehand before it went away on Steam, or still have your box copy. And it's my box copy is literally, as I'm standing up to grab it right now, is right here in my hands. And it's funny too, because remember the PC boxes back in the day? They were like kind of big, and then they kind of made them smaller, like a DVD size case.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
So I have the disc right here in my hand, and I got my CD key that's literally behind the manual. And what the heck is this? A Logitech coupon. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna have to worry about that anymore. But people actually still play this game. I just found out that there is still people playing this game on a server that gets populated during the nighttime. It's like, holy shit, I want to play this game. Because I had a lot of fun times playing it back in the day.
So this is what we lose out on when we go to all digital. And this is, so I have in my hands my box for Wing Commander 3.
Oh.
So this is MS-DOS. This came out in like, I want to say 93. I'm not entirely sure. I don't quite remember. 1994. So this PC games used to have all sorts of shit with them. You got the manual for like these simulator games. You got the quick reference cards, which just has all the controls on it. This thing's got a fold out with all the various like classes of spaceship. I mean, install guides, multiple discs. So I grabbed that. I got my copy of, what was it, SU-27 Flanker, old school like Windows 95, 98 era SU-27 simulator.
Use it.
Fucking manual that clocks in at, how many pages is this? There's over 200 pages in the manual. This one also has a quick reference card. You lose out on all this shit and realistically, we lost out on all this shit when we transitioned to using the smaller game boxes because you couldn't hold as much in there. But it's just we don't realize what we're losing when we make these transitions, and we like to think it's more convenient, and in some ways it is, but people should be more conscious of what exactly the cost is, because I don't think people are thinking about that.
Oh god, no. But on the plus side, looks like I'm able to download this to play this game again.
Hey.
Because people put up the ISO online, and all you really need is legit CD key, which I got a legit CD key.
There you go.
Oh man, but yeah, it's like digital games. It has a lot of good, convenient parts, but at the same time, when things go to hell, it goes to hell. So I think that's about that. I got another thing that popped up in my mind, but it's more, I don't know how to word it properly to kind of do a discussion topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the show.
Mm-hmm.
The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. I'm actually going to check the email box right now to see if we did get any email, because I forgot to do that. While I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you that the website is ntrradio.net. You can find VZ stuff at vzmk2 moimekagatai.wordpress.com. He also does the Big Book of Idols. That's at thebigbookofIdols.com. In addition, he does the designs for our shirts at iyashike.moe/store. iyashike.moe being where I post my content on otaku lifestyle, otaku media, and whatnot. Panda is a partner there. his content appears there. Panda stuff, you can find him at thegeekypanda.net.
Yep.
Shinakiba.moe is my business. I sell half-naked anime girl figures there. You can find that at shinakiba.moe. Otaku Midnight's real good. Listen to them. The Bakugaijin show is planning a large comeback during this month of November 2019. So definitely keep on a lookout for them. I'm Tom Enforcer Nubis.
I'm VZ Mark II.
And I'm the Geeky Panda.
And even though we go all digital every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.